Welcome back. It's a couple of days after I got back from my ridiculous camping trip, and I've had to pick up a new set of microphones. I'm putting in a warranty claim though, because my £370 set of microphones that I bought 2 months ago, they shouldn't be breaking after a little bit of water gets splashed on them. So I don't know how these things work, but hopefully I'm going to get my money back, because that is too much money to lose just for getting splashes of water on. I'll let you know if I'm successful. It's Sunday morning and I'm heading off to see Joe from the works. The reason I'm going to see Joe from the works, I can't do it. I can't live, and I've tried, I can't live with a loud exhaust. So I messaged Joe a week ago and I said, Joe, please can we put back on the standard quiet exhaust? I honestly think I'm going to go deaf if I carry on riding. This exhaust sounds incredible, but I was relaxing at home after a long ride, and honestly my ears were ringing. Some people may say that's pathetic, but I like tranquility when I'm riding, so the quieter the better for me. I know that's unusual. So I'm off to see Joe. It's also a perfect opportunity to run through the bike and go through everything that's been modified to it, everything's been adapted and improved, so I can give you a full understanding of exactly what this bike is. And I've also done 1,300 miles on it, so it's a really nice opportunity after I know the bike well to have a chat with Joe and see a new project that Joe's got. And Joe will also give the bike a once over for me, because I'm heading off on a mini Euro adventure with Monica in about a week's time. So Joe will make sure everything looks good for that. It's 3 hours up to see Joe. I've done 2 hours and I've got an hour left. Well, you won't believe what's just happened to me again. The fourth time in 2 years. The fourth time in 2 years. Irish gentleman walks up to me and he says, fella, will you help me? I'm Irish, I've got no money, I'm stranded, and I've lost my cards. They use the same speech. It's like they all go to the same teaching academy where they're taught what to say at service stations. 4 times in 2 years, Irish guys have tried doing exactly the same speech on me to try and get some money out of me. And it's only ever the Irish. Right, I'll hit the road finally.
Joe. You're back.
Feels great to be back. We've just had the worst hour trying to get these microphones working. So the mics I bought are broken and I'm borrowing Joe's. Joe, first of all, fill us in. Just show that end of the exhaust.
So we've shown that before, I think, when we were first looking at these, but...
Towards exhaust.
Yes.
And the original exhaust.
Standard.
Can you just run us through, was this a standard Triumph exhaust out of the factory?
It was a Triumph provided part, but as an aftermarket edition. So I don't think you could order it on the bike. I think you had to order it as an accessory after the fact.
So even though on the bottom of it, it actually says not for road use, but
Yeah.
Triumph would supply that?
They would supply it. I think their intention or the legality would be that you would use it if you were going on a track day, but who's track day in an 865 Bonneville SC?
Yeah. So that's how they got around it.
Yeah.
Joe, we'll go outside in a second. I've done some B-roll of you doing some hammering, some welding, some fabricating. I'll take that off you.
No.
To put the quieter exhausts on.
Yes.
Did you think I was going to come back and request the quiet exhaust?
I was on the fence. I thought so at first, but then from having ridden the bike, I thought on the cruise it's actually not too bad.
Yeah.
You say Monica says otherwise.
Yes, and honestly, I had a ringing in my ear. I had to change it back. I honestly think I was going to go deaf otherwise, which is a shame because it sounds so good. While we're in here,
Yep.
run us through it. What have we
Which
got?
one? This one? This one?
Start with this, and then we'll flip round and go into that one.
So this is the 350 Enfield that you were desperate to see, if you remember.
Yeah.
So it's an Enduro India Royal Enfield. So a friend of mine, his father-in-law, who has since passed away, he went to India on the Enduro India tour, so they provided these bikes. You go there, they provide you a bike, then you do, I can't remember how many miles it is, but it's a right tour across India, and at the end they were auctioning these bikes off for charity, or selling them off with a proceed going to charity. And he loved it that much, he decided to buy the bike at the end, ship it back to England. So it's a India spec 350, right hand gear change, like the one that, I assume the one you rode was right hand gear change?
No, it wasn't. Okay. No.
So yeah, it's right hand gear change, it's as close to an original British built Royal Enfield you could get from India.
Made in what year?
So this was 2004.
They did it that modern to have the gear change.
So when they moved the line to India, they literally just carried on making them. So yeah, so it's as it would have been.
Still got just behind the camera. That's an Indian number plate over there on their rear.
Yeah, it's all painted white and then letters stuck on as a sticker. But yeah, he's had this. Well, it was found amongst a collection of bikes since his father-in-law passed. It was given to Tom. It's quite sentimental. So what we're doing is taking the original tin work off the mudguards. He's keeping the tank, and then we'll put those in dry storage. So at any point that it wants to go back to standard, it can. But at least, if anything was to happen to the bike while Tom's riding it, it doesn't ruin the stuff that belonged to his wife's father. So yeah.
Not absolutely immaculate. That's not what you're going for.
No.
Keep a bit of the patina.
Yeah. So the frame, we're not powder coating the frame or anything. The engine's got to come out. It needs new mains bearings. It's got a head gasket gone, and because of the fuel quality in India, they actually, to get around that, they just lowered the compression ratio. So I think they're about 6-to-1 compression ratio. So they're not as powerful as a standard 350 British bullet would have been.
So what are we looking at for this?
So it'll go, I don't know what the horsepower lift is. I'd have to look. I'll give you the figures on the screen, but it's going up to 8-to-1 compression ratio. So it'll be a little bit peppier than it was, and then probably do a drive change. So change the chain and sprockets. But yeah.
Time frame? How long are you giving yourself?
Emily was saying 6 weeks, but I'm not sure.
Is that realistic?
Potentially, because we're not doing, it's the engine stuff that's the main thing.
You've got another potential Royal Enfield coming, so you're not short on stuff to do. So
God, no.
This is, you've got to get moving, ideally.
Yeah.
That's that. We'll switch places. Tell us about this one.
So this is as alluded to after the bike shed, the bike that I've been trying to build for 2 years.
This was last video we did in pieces right here, wasn't it?
Yeah. And it'd been there for those 2 years. So I got started on it and then lost interest.
I'll grab the camera while you just show this, because you've done a bit more than I thought you'd done to it.
So I got distracted with many other things, including somebody's Bonneville. So sat in the corner, and then we went to the bike shed show and we had a good look around, and Emily came back and decided she's going to build a bike with that aim to show it at the bike shed show. So,
next year?
Next year. If they'll have us, obviously.
And it will be this one?
Yep, so she's going to build this bike.
Wow.
Now, I'd already made up the frame and done a few bits with that, but it was all in pieces, as you said, in the corner. So I've tacked all that in place now, so she can pick and choose what she wants, what colour schemes she wants to do, and build it however.
Let's do it.
Get it to it.
Yeah. Well, I should say this has not been a long process, Joe, for you to be tack welding stuff on all of these heat shields and stuff. This has not taken long, considering actually it's a decent chunk of work you've had to do this.
Yeah, I mean, what was it, about an hour?
An hour.
Yeah.
And to put them on 10 minutes.
Yeah. We spent longer trying to get microphones working.
Yeah, I know.
Right. That one. That one.
Oh,
you don't want a Tours one, do you?
No.
I can put it back on if you want.
Yeah. Yeah, if I get halfway home and realise I've got one Torsen on and one standard.
From my winter hell, I've got candles and candy. I can be your daddy if you only let me creep into your prison cell. Hey baby, can you tell I'm not a criminal? Your choice is seminal. I want you to stay true to what's right for you. No matter who or know what will others say. Just find your way. Try to stay true.
Joe, all done.
All done.
That was actually decently in depth to be able to get this exhaust on in the end.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's fire it up first actually. So this is back on. I need to see if this is as obvious a difference as I thought.
I think it will be.
Will you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my guess anyway.
So this is coming off the aftermarket non-road legal exhaust to the exhaust I should remember when I dropped the bike off with you.
Well, it didn't sound like that though when you dropped it off.
No. See, that's the difference now.
Oh yeah.
It's a beautiful tick over.
Yeah, and it's,
but just
it's a lot quieter.
That's perfect now. Now I can cruise in serenity. Joe, thank you for that. I've taken up your entire Sunday, so thank you. And I'm also going to ask for one more thing, Joe.
What's that?
A few people have asked, if you can you just run through what's actually been done to this bike? Because some people have said, you know, how viable an option is this? Let's say the bike is £3,800.
Yep.
What has been done to this bike on top of the standard bike?
Purchasing.
And what's it done?
So not including the repairs.
Yeah, not including repairs,
yeah.
Because basically you've gone through everything, haven't you, repair-wise?
So there's a brake upgrade on the front. So you've got an EBC Gold Series disc, which is supplied by Chris, Ultimate Twin Performance, and matched their Brembo pads in the front. Also in your caliper we had to put new pistons, but that's by the by. There is a Hell brake line, so you've got an uprated braided brake line on the front. You've got the cosmetic differences, so brake fluid reservoir, which I think makes a big difference.
I agree.
I think you agree. Then moving on to that, so the exhaust was really badly corroded on the downpipes. The ones that we got for the Tour system, which is these with the turnout, were equally as bad, sorry. So then got the exhaust wrap on there, but that's a really cheap modification to do. It was like £20 for the wrap, and it took me 20 minutes. So, but that just, for me, it neatens it up when it's corroded.
Yeah,
I agree with you. Like,
it's an easy fix, isn't it?
Yeah. A chrome or a polished stainless one would have been nicer, I think, as an option. But when I sent them to you, it was £400, which is
the pricing for not even aftermarket parts. The pricing to try and get used parts for Bonneville is starting to get quite high.
Yeah, and for the air cooled, it's getting harder to do.
Have you noticed that it's harder to get parts now?
Yeah, definitely. Then you had your handlebars. That was one of the main things, wasn't it? So you got the T120
I'll show
bars.
this. Yeah, Joe, walk us.
So yeah, so you got your T120 export bars. So they're 65 to 69 Triumph spec. I took about 20 mil off the end of each side, just so you didn't end up replacing cables and different things. But it really changes that stance. Big thing for you, and for most people I think, is the badges. Those modern T120 spec badges just set off the look, don't they?
They completely transform it, don't they? It's the single thing, that and the handlebars, that I'm more excited
It just
about.
modernises it completely, I think. They're not a cheap thing though, are they? They were.
How much were they in the end?
£114.
Straight from Triumph.
Straight from Triumph, yeah. So they weren't cheap, but it's cheaper than having the tank painted. So.
And if there's one thing that you can do to one of these Bonnevilles to modernise it, and not even modernise it, it's a 1950s, 1960s style. It just adds so much to the look of it.
Especially in the black. So we had that. You got the DNA air filter as part of the Stage 1 kit.
From UT, Ultimate Twin Performance.
Yep. Trying to think what else there was then.
Chipped, ECU'd?
So Chris did your mapping.
Oh,
to
that
suit
was
the
Chris who
Stage
did the
1,
mapping.
yeah.
Okay.
So that's all done. Suits the intake changes, and as you'll attest to, all that snatchiness is gone. It's a lot smoother than it was.
Is that what increases the power?
Yeah. So you got power increase there, plus the airflow's better through that air filter. Then moving back, you've got new brake disc and new pads, which is an upgrade. It's a standard spec disc, and I think they're standard spec pads as well. They're not Triumph, I think they're Brembo equivalents.
Is that from Chris at Ultimate Twin Performance again?
So he provided all of that.
So this, Joe, this one company, Ultimate Twin Performance, they can do a lot.
Yeah.
Just them to bring your bike up to modern spec almost.
Yeah, absolutely. I say that's generally the upgrades, I think. The rest of it was all the repairs. So we put new swing arm bushes in because it's 40-odd thousand miles. So new pistons in the front caliper, then down to your engine repairs, which
significant.
Significant.
It's a really interesting thing to think about, isn't it? If you've got £3,800, which isn't too much for a bike nowadays, how much to do these modifications for what you've done, not the repairs, the modifications, how much would it cost if I were a customer, for example, going to Ultimate Twin Performance?
Oh my God. I couldn't tell you, to be honest.
Yeah, it's in the hundreds.
It is significant, yeah.
Significant
costing.
But the difference it's made to the bike is gigantic. It steps it up another level.
Absolutely.
To
you completely modernise it.
Class of bike.
Yeah. And I think, hand on heart, I think if you compare it to like the modern 900 Triumph, for example, I think it still holds its own.
It's a very close match, isn't it? If you put this up next to the modern 900cc Triumphs.
Yeah. And they're a much simpler machine. In reality, there's a lot less to go wrong computer-wise, and there's no CAN system on this. It's all mechanical speedo, and I genuinely think even now it's a valid purchase for somebody. But yeah.
Joe, thank you.
Well,
you have. Now I've got the old exhaust on as well. Now I think it's just perfect. Thank you for taking.
So I mean, you're 1,200 mile in?
1,300 miles in, and there hasn't been a squeak, there hasn't been a rattle. It's smoother than ever. It munches the miles. It's exactly as I remember it before, but just so significantly better in every single area. Maybe 20% better. Braking, performance.
Yep.
Even the economy. I was riding over here and I was curious, how far can I get on a tank before I need to fuel up? And it was 148 miles. That's the best I've ever had in 4 years of owning it before the low fuel light comes on.
It's
incredible, isn't it? Incredible. So, I mean, there's no question at all, this is now a bike for life. And it is, I'm just doing so many late nights at the moment. It's 7 o'clock, it's 7:30. I've got
3 hours.
3 hours to get home. Joe, thank you once again. Thank you
worries.
so much. And do you know what? I was going to wrap this up at a service station on the way back, but I'm just going to be bombing back as quickly as possible. So thank you so much, everyone, for watching this video. Check out Joe's the new project with the Royal Enfield, and he's got other stuff coming after that, so go and check that out. Have a brilliant week all. See you all in the next one.